And fire when ready. Good.
Firing.
Perfect.
Firing.
Look at that.
Radio check.
Greetings.
Radio check.
Hello.
Yeah. Nice.
A cozy setup.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Yeah. Cool.
What's the comms?
Block 3, channel 2.
Block 3, channel 2. Tuggins, ready to check block 3, channel 2.
Good. Cool. All right. Well, if everyone's ready, we'll get started. So if you want to make sure you have notepads and pens at the ready, try and note as much down as you can. If you need me to go over anything, give us a shout. But yeah, welcome to the basic AT course. So we'll be teaching the NLAW and the ILAW, the weapon system you can see here, which is the anti-tank capability that we have within the sections at the minute. So we'll begin with the NLAW, which is this bad boy right here. So an introduction to the weapon system then. The medium armoured vehicle is a threat that soldiers must face and deal with. Our own armour and heavy anti-tank weapons provide the best tank killing capability, but a number of enemy main battle tanks may have to be engaged by soldiers at close range. So the NLAW fills this role. So the two attack modes, together with the guidance system, make it possible to defeat armoured fighting vehicles and MBTs at all altitudes, and non-armoured vehicles and troops in buildings and field fortifications. Okay, so this is our sort of heavy go-to anti-tank capability. It's pretty much going to knock out most MBTs that we'll come across, as well as the lighter stuff, naturally. There is obviously occasional situations where a single shot is not going to completely destroy an MBT, especially if we look at the more modern variants. But definitely 2 shots is going to completely destroy pretty much anything we'll see, and 1 shot's going to do a heck of a lot of damage, often cause immobilization, stuff like that. So the 2 main parts of the NLAW system then are the launch tube, which is essentially all that you can see on the outside, and the projectile, the missile, which is stored inside of it. So the launch tube protects and carries the missile and contains the firing controls and the power supply on the outside. You'll note that it has a lot of electronics on the outside and a optical scope. So it's essentially got a it helps you out a lot with the sighting. Essentially, it'll do the range, calculate the ranging, and pretty much get you bang on target all by itself. So really good bit of kit. Okay, so we'll move on then to the characteristics. So you probably want to get each one of these bullet pointed down. These are kind of the key big points that you need to remember. So the NLAW is a one-man portable, disposable, fire and forget weapon. So what this means is an individual rifleman is responsible for all of the kit that you need with the NLAW. They'll just carry the tube itself. It's disposable, so once you've fired it, feel free to chuck the tube on the ground, and it's fire and forget. So once you've fired off the missile, you don't need to continue to observe the target through the sights. You just shoot it and let it go. So next point then, the weapon, including the external battery, weighs 12.4 kilograms and is compact at 1 meter long, and it combines high destructive capability with maximum portability. So it is slightly on the heavier side, so pretty much the NLAW exclusively, it works with just the plain rifleman kit, right? You're not going to be able to carry a GPMG in this thing, or a UGL or marksman rifle, some of the heavier weapon systems. It's basically just a bare bones rifleman kit, and the NLAW will have you towards the max carry weight. So moving on then, it has 2 attack modes. It has overfly top attack, or OTA, as well as direct attack, which is DA. And it has a guidance system that uses PLOS, or predicted line of sight, and also has the ability to carry out engagements, quick engagements against short range targets. Okay, so essentially the TLDR, what that actually means, you can just aim down sight and fire it off very quickly and easily, which is typically how we tend to use it in Arma. But there are a couple of options. Overfly top attack. Those of you who are familiar with weapon systems like the Javelin, it's more extreme and pronounced there. Essentially, the missile will do a bit of a loop upwards and then come down to land on top of the target. Obviously, that means we're going to be hitting the lighter armor that is typically on the top of the vehicles, as well as direct, which is just basically straight towards them. Okay, so next point then, it is extremely accurate and uses a 2.5 magnification main sight. The effective combat range is 20 to 400 meters for moving targets, and up to 600 meters for stationary targets. But it can engage out to a maximum of 1,340 meters, at which point the missile itself will self-detonate. So that is the maximum theoretical range. Typically, we'll aim at stuff slightly closer than that, but as we'll see in the live firing, it is extremely accurate and can get very good effective fire out to those further ranges. Okay, the soft launch system means that it can be fired from confined spaces such as buildings. Okay, so if you're indoors, you're more than welcome to fire this thing out of a window, as long as you've got the correct backblast clearance, which is the backblast danger area extends 20 meters behind the weapon at an angle of 800 mils, which is about 90 degrees. So if you imagine a right angle coming out the back of it, extended 20 meters back. So there are to be no large objects or walls within 1 meter and no personnel within 20 meters. All right. So if you stood with a wall behind you, make sure there's a meter gap. So I would not be okay with this wall here. But if I were to move around about here, if all of you can see, swivel your heads, that's more than enough clearance for the walls. Okay. But obviously for personnel, it needs to be further, because we don't mind walls getting a bit of superheated air blasted in them, but I'm sure infantry probably less pleased to have that. So yeah, 20 meters for personnel and 1 meter for walls and stuff like that. Cool. Is everyone happy with all of those characteristics? Does anyone need me to repeat any of those?
That's good.
Happy.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear. Okay. So what we'll go through now then is we'll go through the firing drill. Essentially, in order to fire these systems, rather than obviously with your typical rifle, you'll just be given a target and start blatting away, or if you see a target, typically you can just start engaging. We have a specific system in place to ensure that both backblast safety are being adhered to, and that your section commander or 2IC is aware of what's being fired, because obviously these are important. You only have one of these per section, typically one each, so we don't want to just be firing them off kind of whenever. So for the NLAW, the firing drill is as followed. So the FCO will be issued by the IC or the 2IC. You'll hear the words of command as an example: tank action, static T80, 300 meters, bearing 123. So what he's done, he's called tank action to denote the NLAW, because as we'll come on to later, the NLAW is the only one of these two that can fire typically at MBTs. So tank action means NLAW. He's called out what the target is. So those of you who are keen vehicle spotters, you'll know what it is you're actually firing at just off of that. And then obviously your range and your bearing, just to give you a guidance onto the target. So upon hearing that tank action command, the firer will shout prepping AT, at which point he'll start taking out the weapon system. And then once it's out and ready, he'll say prepped. So then once you're in position and aimed onto the target, you'll shout check back blast, and anyone in the vicinity, so anyone stood nearby you, typically it's going to be your buddy if you've got a buddy system, they'll shout clear or not clear. Obviously if they shout not clear, they'll get everyone out and shout get the fuck out of the way. And then once it's clear, you get clear. And then your section commander will give the final fire command in order to instruct you to fire. Obviously, there's variations of this, so you might just call out tank action, fire when ready, at which point, as soon as your backblast is clear, you just fire on your own. But that's the basic rundown. So make sure you're adhering to this. Obviously, in an absolute shit pants emergency situation, you have your own initiative to, if your section commander's fucking dead, you don't need to wait for him to call. If you need to blow up an enemy tank that's sat on top of you, but try and stick to this as much as is feasible. Cool. And then, yeah, once you've fired, make sure you discard the launcher, because these things are quite heavy and will slow you down, and we can't repackage them and get a new missile in. So they're essentially worthless once fired. Cool. Everyone all happy with that? Anyone got any questions at all on anything on the NLAW? The ILAW. So, introduction to the ILAW then. In the battle space, soldiers may face targets that cannot be engaged effectively by the section's small arms weapon systems. The ILAW fills the gap between the small arms and the heavier anti-armor capability of the NLAW. The ILAW provides an infantry section with the ability to destroy or disable soft-skinned, light-armored vehicles, as well as fortifications. However, it's typically ineffective against your modern MBTs. So, a general description of the weapon system then. The L2A1 Interim Light Anti-Armor Weapon, or ILAW, is an 84mm, unguided, man-portable, single-shot, disposable, recoilless, smooth-bore anti-armor rocket launcher. That's a lot of words. Let's break this down. So, 84mm, obviously the size of the rocket, unguided. It's not got the fancy sights that you see on the NLAW, so you actually have to properly aim it with the iron sights. Man-portable, again, operated single guy, single shot, fire it once and it's done. Disposable, once you fired it, it's worthless. We can't reload these things, so chuck it on the ground. Recoilless means that, most notably, the backblast comes out the rear of the weapon. So, again, we're going to have a backblast. Smooth bore means the insides of it's smooth, so it's not like spin stabilized, right? But weapon pro, that's what that means, right?
So, if with the difference between a smooth bore and a rifled weapon is a rifle is spin stabilized. So
there you go. I got it right. Yes. Brilliant. Yeah, anti-armor. Yeah, that's self-explanatory, isn't it? We shoot this at light armored stuff. Cool. So, yeah, that's the basic general description. Again, consists of two main parts. You've got the launch tube and the missile, which is pre-packaged inside. It's issued as a single unit with the missile inside. And the launch tube carries and protects the missile. Can be disposed of after firing. So, yeah, that's the ILAW then. The basic overview. We'll go through the characteristics. So you want to bullet point these ones down. So characteristics of an ILAW then. Effective firing range for point targets is 300 meters. So point targets are your small static targets. For example, if you want to put a rocket through a window or target specific points of a vehicle. For example, if you want to target the tracks or you want to target the turret, something like that. For area targets, it's up to 500 meters. So if you want to fire this, we use the HEVP variant, which is high explosive dual purpose. This can be quite effective as just an area of effect HE weapon. So you can fire it at area targets, say like a section out in the open, up to 500. And the maximum firing range potential is 2,100 meters. It's worth noting that is dramatically higher than the effective range. And unlike the NLAW, which has self-guidance, making it very effective up to its theoretical maximum, this thing's pure iron sights. It's not going to fire up to 2,100 with any kind of accuracy. You'll get a feel for it on the range, but those are your kind of key ranges then. So 300 meters for point targets, 500 for area targets, maximum theoretical 2,100. Okay, so with the backblast then, the ILAW creates a significant backblast in an area extending 20 meters behind the launcher at an angle of 90 degrees again. When firing, there should be no obstructions such as walls or rocks within 2 meters, and there should be no personnel within 20 meters once again. The weapon can also be fired indoors with the previous backblast distances, essentially firing out of windows as long as you've got that 2 meter distance behind the backblast for any walls is fine. Cool. So in terms of the sights, the weapon is fitted with an adjustable iron sight, which ranges from 50 up to 400 meters in 50 meter increments. So page up, page down, ticks up by 50. There is a nice little handy dial, unlike your rifles, so you can actually zero them in nice and easily. and see what range you've got it set to. Okay, so the ILAW fires an 84mm rocket projectile, which can penetrate up to 500 to 600mm of armor. So, obviously, unless you're a big Warthog nerd, as we've identified, what that essentially means is it's not going to penetrate through most of your big MBTs, your modern ones at least. It's mainly looking at your APCs, so like your like BTRs, BMPs, those kinds of things, as well as some of the older tanks that exist. But the main thing is the effect against main battle tanks will be limited, and it's entirely dependent on part of the vehicle's struck. So it does have the capability to cause crews to close down, damage mission essential equipment such as optics and antennas, and less well protected vulnerable parts of a vehicle. So in armor, typically your main points that you're going to be aiming for is kind of the soft spots where the turret meets the main body of the tank, as well as the tracks. Those are kinds of vulnerable parts that you can engage effectively with an ILAW. But generally speaking, you're not going to want to fire an ILAW at a big MBT because it's just going to piss it off. So that's about that. Final characteristic, the ILAW is also effective against bunkers, foxholes, and buildings. So, because of characteristics, has anyone got any questions on the ILAW so far? We'll run through the firing drill. It's very similar to the NLAW for the ILAW. Notably, you'll get prep ILAW instead of tank action. So prep ILAW, static bunker, 300 meters, bearing 123, something like that. Then you'll give, obviously, prepping AT once you're ready, prepped. And then once you're about to fire, once you've got the target in sight, check backblast, and then clear or not clear. And then your section commander gives the fire command. And then you discard the launcher. So basically the same. The only difference is the word of command, prep ILAW, instead of tank action. All right. So if everyone's happy with that, we'll start the live firing part, which is the exciting part. So if you all want to stand up, follow me, we'll go head down to the range. Someone's fallen asleep. Oh, there he is. You're right, kangaroo. Ah, look at him. He's gone down there too soon. All right. Yeah, this will be the waiting area. So if you want to stand up on here, you can watch over the barrier. We'll have 2 people firing at a time. So I guess Kangaroo's already volunteered. So one more if you want to head down with me. Oh, no, not Kangaroo. I've been BMing Kangaroo. Damn. Jaeger went down. All right.
Yeah, Jaeger ran off to the range because I saw you down there.
Sorry
earlier.
about
I was like,
that,
I want to fire.
Blame the wrong person. Yeah, understandable. Let's go. All right. Cool. So in these boxes along here, there'll be some launchers. We'll start off with the center box, which will have some ILAWs. So if you each want to grab an ILAW on your back. And then on the far left and far right ramps, if you want to head up and stand at the firing positions. Okay, so if you want to start with the weapon system on your back so that we can go through the firing drill. So have your rifles out and then we'll go through that full drill. So the first target will be, if you listen to my word of command, so prep ILAW bearing 081, 250 meters, fuel trucks.
Prepping AT.
Prepping ILAW.
So Jaeger, you'll hit the one on the left, and Tuggins, you'll get the one on the right. Okay. Back blast clear for both of you.
What's the range?
Range 250. And fire when ready.
Firing.
Good shooting. I forgot my earplugs. Nice one. Yeah, good shooting. Okay, if you want to chuck your empties back in the box and grab a new ILAW.
How the inventory system works.
Cool. So the next targets are going to be slightly harder because they're going to be moving. So bear with me as I... in fact, what we'll do now, I'll give the word of command. So prep ILAW bearing 156, 200 meters, enemy technicals.
Prepping ILAW. Prepped.
Okay. Both of your back blasts are clear. You can fire when ready. One of them stopped. That was
Firing.
Oh, unlucky. Grab a reload, and we'll give that another attempt. You got lucky. Yours stopped for some reason.
I know, I was thinking I should take that one, but I didn't want to be a sneaky one.
Yeah.
Prepping
I
ILAW.
was like, this is the perfect time to fire. Why would I
Yeah.
not fire?
Absolutely true.
Prepping ILAW. Prepped.
Fire when ready.
Firing.
There you go. That one stopped as well. Man, fucking AI in this game ruins everything. I wanted a nice, slowly moving, easy shot, but no. Okay, cool. We'll go with one more ILAW then, if you want to grab a reload if you fire. So again, the ILAW can be fired against static sort of emplacements. So what I've got set up is a couple of little shit shacks, just to make it a fairly easy shot for you. So prep ILAW, static buildings bearing 138, range 323 meters.
Prepping ILAW.
Prepped.
Prepped.
Yeah. Remember, and then
Back blast clear.
yeah, both your back blasts are clear. Fire when ready.
Firing.
Perfect. Oh, one of them's completely collapsed. The other one's still up.
I did good.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, that's a demonstration of the effectiveness against buildings. If people were inside those buildings, they are royally fucked up. If you want to grab an NLAW this time, we'll fire the NLAW. They'll be on the outside boxes. You might need to jump the empty in the middle, and then sorted. Cool. Okay, so tank action, enemy BRDM bearing 123, range 500 meters.
Tank action. Prepping MT.
Prepping NLAW.
Yeah.
500 meters. BDRM. Left side sighted.
Yeah.
ILAW
Back blast
prepped.
clear.
NLAW
Fire.
prepped.
Firing.
Firing.
Look at that. Very nice.
Synchronized
See ya.
explode.
You can see how fucking accurate these things are. It's like a laser beam straight to the target. So that's what we like to see. So if you aim down sights, if you whip out the NLAW and aim down sights, I'm pretty sure it's Control Tab will toggle. I should have checked this before. Should
It's
toggle.
It's your launcher button. So whichever button you use to pull out your launcher, that
Is it? You just press it again. And
Yeah.
it toggles. Damn, that's nice. I did not know that. So yeah, that's how you toggle between your top attack and your overfly. So if you want to switch it onto overfly top attack, and we'll see a demo of that in action. Let me move the targets into position.
And that's just your launcher select button, right? Press twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I
Okay.
don't know how many times I've pressed it and there's no indicator on the weapon, and because you can't see the indicator on the UI, I have no idea if I'm in top attack mode or not.
Let's go with hope.
It should say, shouldn't it?
No, it doesn't, because
Nope.
it's not a javelin.
Oh, that's disgusting. But you can hear it go click, right?
No, and
Nope.
if you do hear it go click, you can't tell what fire selection mode you're in because there's no visual indicator on the model.
Oh, what the fuck? That's garbage. Anyway, we'll hope that we're on overfly top attack, and we'll go again. So, tank action, enemy light armor, bearing 138, range 1080 meters.
Prep and NLAW.
Started prepping NLAW. 1085, left target selected.
Yeah.
Prep.
Backblast clear for both of you. Fire when ready.
Firing.
Hey, it's top attack mode. Hey!
Nice. Perfect. Okay. And so yeah, that's a demonstration. Obviously, we've talked about effective ranges, but in Arma 3, the NLAW is a fucking laser beam. So you can very easily go out to a kilometer with that thing. So cool. That concludes live firing. So well done. I think you all hit all the targets. So great
I'll
work.
put those NLAWs back in the crate, right?
You can leave them on the ground. I'll delete them after.
Oh.
So there's no PLOS check for the NLAW. That's upsetting.
Yeah, no, there isn't, because it's honestly in Arma it's a bit of a faff getting it sorted. It's
You said to send somebody else for fisting.
I'll go for first. Wait, what?
Oh, can I go back down, please? I left something down there.
We got,
My dignity.
I'll go down there, fuck it.
soon. Cool. Alright, nice one. Well, that concludes the basic AT. So, in fact, no, it doesn't. Tell a lie. We've got we'll do a couple of quick confirmation questions to make sure you've been paying attention on the theory at the start. And so I'll pose a question, think about it, let you think about it for a second, and then I'll pick someone. So make sure you don't shout out. And we'll just go through a few questions just to make sure you're all paying attention. So feel free to look at your notes, by the way. If you have written them, that's fine. So can someone tell me what is the backblast area for like walls and obstructions for both the weapon system? Or no, for the NLAW, because they're different. For the NLAW, what is the backblast radius for an object or wall for the NLAW?
1 meter.
No shouting out, Parry.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, correct. 1 meter. And for personnel, what is the range? Kangaroo?
20 meters.
20 meters. Perfect. And what is the angle that it extends out at? Collins?
90 degrees.
Correct. Perfect. What are the two different attack modes that the NLAW is capable of using? Parry?
Overfly and direct fire.
Yeah, so overfly top attack or OTA and direct attack is the exact wording. But yeah, in principle, you got overfly and direct.
Yep.
And cool. For the NLAW, what is the effective combat range? Tuggins?
For stationary or moving target.
Oh, that is a good question.
I know 4-5B trick questions.
For station for stationary targets, we'll go with.
For stationary targets, this range up to 600 meters.
Yeah. And what is the
Imperial.
flight speed of an African swallow?
13.5 millimeters every 2 seconds.
Is that European or African?
That's Bolivian.
That's exactly what that question was. Yeah. Cool. And for moving targets, then Jaeger.
The NLAW moving targets.
NLAW moving targets.
The official is 800. It's 4-5B is 400. That's what I
Yes,
remember.
400 is the maximum that we have down. Is that what it says on? Is that the real deal? Is it 800 IRL?
It's 800, yeah, in IRL.
Wow, we might have to look at the
He's actually
document.
just looking at his NLAW in front of him, so that's a bit unfair, can I say?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't got an NLAW right in front of me to look at.
We might have to look at that. We might have to get the doc reviewed if that's the case.
It's because it's Arma, it's accurate out to 1300, but IRL it's accurate out to even in tracking moving target at 800 because of the PLOS system.
Yeah. We might have to review that doc because the doc might be a bit dodgy. But yeah, 400 is the correct answer for now, TM. Cool. We'll go with effective firing range for point targets on the ILAW then. Kangro.
Can you repeat that?
So effective firing range for point targets on the ILAW.
300 meters.
Bang on. And area targets, what's our effective range with the ILAW? Perfect. And what kind of targets should we be looking to use the ILAW for, Tuggins?
Light-skinned, fortification, bunkers, personnel.
Correct. And same thing for the NLAW. What should we be notably firing the NLAW for that we don't use the ILAW for? Harry?
Sorry, repeat that.
So what weapons what targets are we looking to use the NLAW for specifically that we wouldn't use the ILAW for?
The heavier targets.
Yeah, exactly. So your MBTs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. That concludes it. 100%, I think, every single question right. So great work. So yeah, you'll all be pleased to know you've passed. Great work, boys. You're all qualified on the ILAW and the NLAW. You'll get your badges as soon as it gets processed. I'll post immediately after the course to try and get that. And yeah, the ASM, as I've said, I think we're looking to move to the ASM. I'm not sure what the deal's going to be with how the basic AT is going to carry over, but just a bit of advice in general is the ASM's going to be less powerful against your medium armor. It's mostly aimed at soft skins and engaging. It's like real selling point is blowing up people inside buildings. So like any kind of building, whether it's the big metal towers like you see around Altus. I don't know if we can see any from here, but you know what I mean, like the big metal buildings, massive concrete structures, all of that shit, it'll blow through and kill the people inside. So that's the TLDR with the ASM. I don't know how it's going to work with whether you automatically get it or not. We'll see. So,
Right, okay.
But yeah, thank you for attending. Thank you for all sitting through the boring theory bit. And yeah, congratulations for passed. I'll leave you to your afternoon/evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Corporal E.
Have
Smith.
You're very welcome.
Have you seen the official designation for the ASM?